Okay, Mr. Chair, go ahead, please.
Thank you very much. I'd like to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's Lakewood City Planning Commission meeting, Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. We get roll call, please, Ms. Devereaux.
Sharon Wallace. Present. Ellen Talbo will be arriving late and attending remotely. Philip Lindholm,
Present.
Lynn Larson,
Present.
Mark Hare,
Present.
Robert Estrada,
Present.
Philip Combs.
Present.
You have quorum.
Thank you very much. Let's go ahead and start with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. Has everyone had a chance to read meeting minutes? Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
Thank you very much. Do you need me to state those for you, Tiffany, or do you have them here?
No, please go ahead.
So that was motion by Commissioner Larson and second by Commissioner Lindholm. Sorry, I wanted to call him Philip, but yeah, that's it. Do we have any changes to the agenda for tonight?
No, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I see no one here for public comment. Is there anyone online?
Not that I see at the moment, but one thing I would request, Mr. Chair, is that you keep the hearing open through the October 15th meeting. We had a slight error with the way we advertised the public hearing tonight. So just to correct that error, we need to keep it open for another meeting.
That's fine. I think this is just public comment right now, but we can get to the public hearing second, right?
Excuse me. Yes, absolutely.
Well, since there's no one online and no one present, we'll go ahead and close the public comment and let's go ahead and open it up for, do we need to go through the material again or should we just open it up for public hearing?
I do have a couple of things I wanted to add to what you heard from the last presentation. So I'll share my screen if you would let me do that, Mr. Chair.
Yeah, please.
Okay, one moment. And can you see that all right? Okay. There we go. So as we talked about in the last meeting, there was a conversation had over several state legislative sessions now regarding where childcare centers can be allowed. And some of that actually stemmed from the work that Lakewood and the South San Military and Communities Partnership had done regarding this issue because there are so-called childcare deserts in Lakewood and the area surrounding the base. And so within the last couple of years, there's been some state law changes, and then the Lakewood had already done a number of things to expand where childcare centers could locate. However, this last session, State Senate Bill 5509 was adopted, which further expands where they must be allowed, where childcare centers, meaning the commercial types of centers, must be allowed. And so while this is not something that the city needs to comply with until 2027, it is being recommended that we go ahead and move forward with this faster than that. A, because we've already done so much of this work already, and this just complements what's been done. But B, we continue to have childcare deserts. As you see on this map, the darker green is where the desert, meaning the distance between where people live and where childcare is available, is more distant. And so Tillicum, Woodbrook, Springbrook, Lakeview, and other areas of poverty all continue to be childcare deserts. So the recommendation is to actually have this action taken faster, which is why we're here with you tonight. I'm going to walk through a couple of additions to what the package includes before public hearing starts. because as we started to prepare the materials, we noticed that not only were the changes needed to comply with the state law change, but there's also some outdated definitions regarding childcare and references to incorrect state statutes. So that's what I'm about to walk through here quickly. Just correcting, as you see with underline, new language being added, and strikeout is where language is being eliminated for various child care related terms. So you'll see some changes to child daycare facility and child daycare. You'll see the removal of child daycare center and then adding the newer definition below that. And then under the term daycare, there's a couple of different levels that are talked about in the code, and then they're regulated in different ways. So adding some clarification in family daycare provider and family home provider. Again, updating the reference to the correct RCW. And then this is the meat of the changes. This is where you see in the uses table in 18A 40 section 080. And everywhere here where you see the blue text in underlining, that's what's being changed. And so the P's with the underlines is where we would expand where childcare could be allowed. And then at the very bottom line of that, you'll see that the use of existing buildings for daycare centers is being added, as well as a new type of use where state law now requires this as well. We also have in our code what's called a summary land use table, which just reflects what each specific land use section has in the code elsewhere. So it brings it all together as a compilation, and that will be updated just as a note to you and the public to reflect all of these changes we're talking about tonight. So where we are is tonight is the public hearing, and again, the request is to keep it open through the 15th to allow the opportunity to correct the error on my part, I should be clear, regarding the notice. And then on October 15th, you would be scheduled to take action on your resolution up to council. They would start to talk about it in November, and assuming there weren't any delay, they would take action on December 1st. So starting January 1 of 2026, all of these changes would go into effect. And so with that, Mr. Chair, turning it back over to you.
Thank you very much for the update. Any questions from the commission? Go ahead. This is Mr. Commissioner Estrada.
Tiffany, quick question. Maybe this is not in your area of expertise, but since the state is allowing us to have sites in industrial areas, do you know if the oversight, industrial and commercial areas, do you know if the oversight will be the same? That is to say, I believe, is it DSHS or equivalent that oversees this, or another entity, because now it's in a commercial zone?
No, all of these facilities, regardless of the land use zone where they're located, would be regulated under the state law and state administrative code.
Right, thank you.
And Mr. Chair, please notice that Vice Chair Talbot has now joined us online as well.
Welcome, Ms. Talbot.
Welcome. Welcome.
Go ahead, Mr. Larson.
This is in concert with what we talked about last meeting, and it looks like they've gotten into the table, and it's a good step to move forward. It's my view that we really can't get this in place fast enough.
Yeah. I had a couple clarifying questions, and then one comment. Clarifying question number one, is it required then that it looks to me like the requirement is R1, R2, R3, R4, and that has a limit of how many people can be there? So I'm trying to piece this together. This is
Sure.
The policy is now, or the state is saying, hey, even in a single family house in R1 zoning, we allow this has to be allowed, and they can allow up to 12 children in there. How do you handle the comings and goings, which is essentially commercial activity?
It's
and parking.
yeah.
And so on?
It's actually two different things, Mr. Chair. So
Okay.
there is the ongoing and pre-existing ability for somebody to hold in their home up to 12 children in a family daycare center. That is considered separate and apart from the commercial child care centers, which are now required to be allowed also in all of those zones. However, what we're saying is that that means somebody would have a building. It wouldn't be a single family home used as a home in that zone where a commercial child care center could be hosted. So you may have a house purchased and then redesigned to be a commercial daycare center, or you might have a tear down and a rebuild, but within the R1s up through the MF3s, now it's required to allow these commercial daycare centers.
Thank you.
Sure.
Yeah, my other question, now I lost it. I was from the notes. My comment has to do with just, and I hear Commissioner Larson totally agree that this is something that we can't get in place quick enough. Everywhere is struggling with this. I've seen this successfully done in offices, in industrial sites, and this is what we're talking about, what the state's requiring is successfully done all over the place. So I'm not worried about that. I did have one thought though. We talked about the alcohol, bar, tavern, scenario.
Mhm.
And as we move forward with that discussion again, we have to remember this, because what we don't want to do is allow this to happen and have these scattered throughout and now have areas where we can't do commerce because we've, put these, you're not allowed to do it within so many feet. And so now all of a sudden so we'll have to figure out how that, that'll be something we'll have to solve at some point. But I think that it's just something to be mindful of. I think this comes first and this would be priority one, but how do we solve that later? And, we come up with some ideas. So I see Commissioner Talbot has a comment. Lindholm, go ahead. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I'll defer to Talbot first if you like.
Go ahead, Commissioner Talbot.
Thank you, Chair. And you guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Well, yeah, I agree with my colleagues tonight. I was particularly struck, one thing that struck me in this item, and I did email Ms. Spears about it earlier, but in table 18A 4110, family daycare, I think I was wanting to know the rationale behind why family daycares are not permitted in the transit oriented center or the CBD. Because where I was coming from is 2 points. Number one, if family daycare, if we're using the definition of childcare for 12 or more, it struck me odd that you wouldn't want to permit that in the transit-oriented center, where it makes it really easy for folks to drop off their kids and then take transit and then pick up their kids and and then continue on. And then also in the CBD, if residential use is allowed in the central business district, I just didn't know the rationale behind not allowing family daycare. But I was also getting into the weeds a little bit in the whole RCW chapter 7415 and just making sure that I was, understanding the definitions correct too. And also that had me also in a little bit of a rabbit hole into adult daycare centers or adult homes. And so I also wanted to know if family daycare extends to adult group homes, halfway homes, specialized skill care, and if that also means that those are not permitted in the TOC or the CBD, because I would think that especially the transit-oriented center, which is close to transit, adults in these situations often can lack access to their own personal transportation. And so being centered and located close to healthcare that and mental care that is strictly in the TOC, as well as transit in and of itself, I would think it struck me why we wouldn't want to permit that in that area. So, sorry, I'm kind of getting into two definitions here, but that was the question I had for Ms. Spear.
Yeah, I think Miss Spear answered that one. The second one, I think, came up last week. And if I recall correctly, it was the adult care facility was not the same. They're treated completely different in the use and whatnot. Miss Spear, do you want to touch on that at all anymore?
Sure. Adult family homes are their own classification and their own definition, allowed use locations and sets of regulation. Family daycare, child daycare center, daycare centers, all of those terms are referring to individuals under 18 years of age. So it is just its own subset of land uses. And so adult family homes are regulated separately. Going to what Ms. Talbot was asking about regarding why or if in the transit-oriented commercial or the central business district zones, we could have daycare centers allowed. I would just let the Planning Commission know that probably what happened was when the last time this section of the code was opened, family daycare was mentioned. There were no sub areas yet, no sub area plan. So by all means, if this is something that the commission wanted to recommend as an amendment when it takes action next time, we could expand where family daycare could be allowed into those other zones as well. There's no reason not to, there's no rule that says we can't. It's just, I think over time, as we've gone through these different phases of updating our code, family daycare just wasn't discussed as part of the sub-area planning process.
I appreciate the comment, Ms. Talbot. That is something that I would like to see too. I think it makes a lot of sense, and I see it in those areas as well. That does beg the same question as before, because that's the same spot you would typically put your late night events and activities and bars and taverns and distilleries. So I don't know what that looks like. And we're going to open this hearing and not close it until the 15th, I guess we have a little time to think about that too. But I would support having it in those areas as well. Mr. Larson?
I would certainly support it. We have to be cognizant of what could go wrong in this type of location that would be different from other locations and custom fit the code to transit oriented. Because what happens if the electricity goes out or the train stops or gets in a wreck? And everybody is going to pile up in the daycares because they can't get there, in the time allotted. And there needs to be some kind of a structure that manages that. And I have no idea what it would be, but so it might be that there are other circumstances due to the transit-oriented function that we need to make sure are covered.
Yep.
Mr. Estrada?
Speaking back on what you all have been saying here regarding, we talked about bars, you said, for example, in the transit area where possibly could have. So we did want to have, from your perspective, care centers there, child care centers. Is there a provision where we can say that a drinking establishment, bar such, tasting room, whatever it is, cannot be closer than so many feet, yard, blocks, whatever it is from? I mean, I think we did that once before, years back, with parks. We said that you couldn't have pot shops. We were talking about pot shops and pawn shops near parks. So can we do the same thing?
Yeah, and to clarify, that's exactly what I was referring to, is that you would have so much distance. But if you put 4 daycares into a block that would be otherwise the area you might want to see a bar or tavern, it could no longer go into this area because you've allowed this other use, which is a good use and something we support, but it starts to tie our hands in our ability to create economic development. So we just have to be mindful of it. It's not something that we have to, but I told that, hopefully that makes sense.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Commissioner Kerr?
Mr. Chair, I just want to say you bring up a very valid point. We are opening essentially the floodgates for where we can put childcare centers. We are streamlining the process for permitting, renovation. I think it would be rather short-sighted to immediately flood the central business district with those types of uses in an environment where just in the last 2 weeks, we've seen 2 restaurants close down. And I don't think we want to further constrict where those type of establishments could potentially new establishments could come into the area. I think this is something that we acknowledge in conversation at this point, and we see what happens over the next 12 to 18 months, or even, shorter. We see how this change affects the environment, and then, we reevaluate when we do our next set of amendments, and we look at how effective it was, and if there is a bottleneck in there in those particular areas, or is there a pent-up need or want and desire to bring those type of facilities into the transit-oriented center and the downtown central business district.
Yeah, that's a good thought too.
Yes, but the other concern that I had, I think I'm very encouraged by addressing this issue of childcare deserts. And I think we should be careful, though, to also ensure that we have the staffing to adequately supervise the safety of these centers and what is going on in them. I don't think we need to be like the recent case in Seattle where there was an $8 million settlement. So I tried to find out what kind of staffing numbers and things we needed, but I think we need to plan ahead that as we go forward, hopefully there will be lots of childcare centers, but we're going to need staff to be able to ensure that the criteria to make them safe and appropriate places for children are met.
Are you thinking a layer of regulation on top of what the state regulates?
No, I was thinking more of a staffing issue. Is you have to have bodies to go and check on these places to make sure, that the cleaners are under the cupboard, have childcare locks, that if there's a pool, that there's safety alarms for the pool, because kids are always end up in the pool.
Yeah.
And just things like that you have to have staff to go out and do that and educate and make sure that people are following it, that you don't have a childcare worker there who is a known sex offender. I mean, you have to have somebody look.
I guess I was just asking, I think that's what the state already does.
They are, but if you all of a sudden increase your numbers from, say, 10%, and now you all of a sudden have 100% more, do we have the staff to actually support that? That's all I'm saying. I think we need to make sure we have adequate staffing. And I couldn't find any numbers anywhere in the state, but I think that concern should be addressed. So we made sure there's adequate oversight. That's all.
Yeah, good. Well, something we could ask the state about potentially, Ms. Spear. I don't know if you have any contacts there.
Well, I can certainly provide information to the commission next time about how it's regulated and the number of people that are responsible for that through, I can't remember, it's used to be DSHS, but they've actually changed their name now in the code, but the Child and Health Services Agency.
Yeah, thank you. Mr. Larson, go ahead.
To the earlier point of how to put daycares proximate to in commercial zones so that it doesn't restrict the commercial uses. It could be as simple as either making that section subject to certain conditions, or to simply make the statement that in no case shall the daycare regulations prohibit anything that's currently allowed in the zone.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Or it could be, slightly different. But if we have that as a starting place, then we have the starting place for how you make them compatible if you want them there and if the city wants to allow it on a case-by-case basis.
I agree. I kind of assumed that was how it would be no matter what, but I think you stated it very well. Yeah.
No, I really appreciate that point a lot. And it occurs to me as we're talking about this, that bars tend to be most active when childcares are not, and childcares are most active when bars are not. So yes, we want to be thoughtful. We also want to make sure we're not hamstringing the market to be able to do what it needs to do to
Yeah.
make Lakewood thrive.
Yeah. Great. Well, I think, Ms. Tabo, you raised your hand?
Yeah, sorry, just one last comment. I would only say that if there's any fear or skepticism that increasing that the placement of childcare in a commercial district puts some sort of burden on businesses, I would only say that there's a lot of studies that have been done for many decades that show that commercial areas with childcare is actually a benefit for the commercial areas because those employees in those areas have childcare options close to them, so they can get along with their daily lives much easier. Thank you.
Very true.
Good. I think we don't need to solve that one today, but just wanted everyone to think about it and appreciate there's a bunch of different ways to approach this that could, and all of them I think could be successful. There sounds like we have a go ahead. We could add it to the TOD and downtown commercial core or downtown commercial.
Okay.
We
So
could.
what I, okay.
Or we could just wait and see. And so let's keep the public comment or public hearing open until next time. And I don't think this is something we have to move on tonight, right? We got to.
Well, Mr. Chair, what you need to do is open the public hearing and then just have that decision to have it continued through October 15th. That'll need to be a motion by the Planning Commission.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and open the public hearing, which I think we've established there's no one here, no one online to make comments. So we'll leave it open. But we need a motion to.
Mr. Chair, motion to leave the public hearing on expanding zones where child care centers are allowed open through 15 October.
Second.
Thank you. So first was Commissioner Herr, second Commissioner Lindholm. All right. Unfinished business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I will now share one more thing. Actually, it'll be two, but hang on a second. I believe we are at the point of the discussion regarding the 2026 comprehensive plan amendments, and they start on page 13 of the packet. So I'm just going to scroll down quickly to get there. Okay, so if you'll recall from our last couple of meetings, we have now a resolution in front of you to take action on 22 various comprehensive plan amendments, 12 of which are required for compliance with state law. So those are proposed amendments 2026-01 through 2026-12. And then you have 2026-13 through 22. They are either city initiated or privately initiated applications for changes. Two private ones are for rezoning parcels. You had discussions about this last time. This is not any sort of substantive analysis or recommendation to council. This is simply setting the docket. So if you're ready to take action on this, it would be a motion to approve Resolution 2025-05 to send the 2026 Comprehensive Plan Amendment docket up to the City Council for action.
So moved.
Second.
Did you get those, Ms. Spear?
I did. You just need to call for the vote then, Mr. Chair.
Sorry, you're breaking up there, but
Oh.
we'll go ahead and call for a vote. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, thank you. Sorry.
And we can go ahead and do it in the same order if you want.
Sorry?
So I'm calling for a vote officially on it.
Aye.
Aye.
So-
Aye.
All
Aye.
in favor? Yeah.
Aye.
All right. None opposed.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and
Thank
move
you.
that one forward. Thank you. Sorry, that was sloppily voted on, but we'll do it better next time.
You had a good intention.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The last thing on tonight's agenda, then, I'm just going to walk through one more presentation. And this is something that you've talked about before, and I wanted to just bring you up to speed on some things that has happened since you last spoke about it, which is our natural environment and climate change program.
You're breaking out one more time.
The booster off. I'm sorry, can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're in now.
I'm in now. Okay. Thank you. So I'm talking about the Natural Environment and Climate Change program, which was presented to you, I believe, in April of this year. Since then, a couple of things have happened to make it a more formal program and to start to fund effort underneath it. So that's what I just wanted to bring you up to speed on. So to remind everyone, this is something where we're taking current initiatives, current requirements, goals that are in our city's comprehensive plan, and kind of combining them all into a single program just for ease of discussion and administration. But on the right-hand side of this slide, you'll see the priorities and data used as the basis for the program. It's everything from the Climate Change Action Plan from 2021 all the way through the data collected last year through the Urban Forest Assessment Report, the Heat Watch Report, and then in the middle there we had the work done by Evans School with University of Washington to create an implementation guide for the city on how to create an urban forestry program. So we do have an existing goal adopted by council for a 40% citywide tree canopy by 2050. But in
Stephanie?
addition, yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. I
That's
don't
okay.
believe us or any of the commissioners can see what you're sharing.
Oh
Just
dear.
sending.
Okay, I'm sorry. Give me 1 second, please.
Thought you were just giving us a background. That's good.
Oh Lord. One second. My apologies. Okay, give this a try one more time. 1 second. All right, can you see that screen now?
Almost.
Double click. Screen.
Is that all right there?
It just popped up.
Okay. All right, so this is the one I was just referring to where on the left you see in graphic form the sections and data sets that were used to create the NECC program. On the right in text, you see all those sources starting back in 2021 and through last year. So there's a current set of priorities and requirements that are already the foundation for this program, including the citywide tree canopy cover of 40% by 2050, including the new change in state law that says by 2029, the city needs to comply with what people are just calling House Bill 1181. It is a big change to the Growth Management Act where climate change and resilience have to now be planned for. And then there's also the 89 item action plan that the city adopted following its 2021 energy and climate change chapter. 15 of those things were prioritized in the initial 3-year work plan, which has now expired. And so the part of the work over the next 2 years would be to say, okay, if 15 of those 89 are done, what's left and what should be prioritized? So what we now have since you last heard about this program is received approval and execution of a contract with consultants to begin this work. And the step one will be to stand up a climate advisory team. And we are in the very beginning stages of starting to identify potential members. If you'll recall, there was conversation of maybe having a liaison from the Planning Commission to be part of this. We may be reaching out to other city boards and commissions, and then we're definitely reaching out to, for instance, Pierce College or Park Technical College, and then even business entities, might be University of Washington as well. But the idea here is to get subject matter experts as well as business and resident representatives from the city itself to have a really well-rounded group of people to talk, to be part of this and be able to talk about the wide range of issues that they're ultimately going to have to deal with. Because it's not just specifically trees, it's energy efficiency, it's greenhouse gas emission, it's that urban forestry program piece. So over time, there's going to need to be a broad range of expertise on that group. They will begin, once they're convened, to have that conversation about the 89 action items, 15 of which are done. Now, what do we do next? It's also going to be looking at all those new requirements out of that House Bill 1181 and coming up with a 10-year implementation plan, and then kind of a subset of that, a 3 to 5 year work plan. Then there are also going to be work on the internal side for the city of Planning and Public Works working with the Parks Department on the new Parks Legacy Plan, which will be completed next spring. There will be the stand-up internally again of how various departments are going to be coordinating, because the Urban Forestry Program, as well as 1181, requires multiple departments' engagement to be successful. And then again, we're going to be working with external groups for public education resources, identifying events and ways to get trees and other plants or vegetation in the hands of our residents and businesses to voluntarily do stuff on their own property, and then be able to start working our way toward full compliance with 1181 by 2029. So I mentioned some of this already, but quickly, the climate advisory team is step one. And this will be in front of the city council come December 12th, I believe, or December 15th, where we're going to be bringing to them some recommended names or organizations, and the council will be giving us direction back if that's the right group or if there's something they want changed. And then we'll convene that group starting in probably late January, early February of 2026. The Urban Forestry Program is going to be based on 3 guiding principles, which is sustainability, efficiency in the operations, and then community collaboration, because the city can't do it on its own, and the city only owns so much of the property within the city, and so private work is going to be necessary to achieve the tree canopy goal, as well as just having a healthy urban forest. The 10-year implementation plan for the program, creating timelines and benchmarks, looking at what city strategies are going to be the basis for that 10-year plan, starting to come up with long-term funding strategies, and figuring out how are we going to monitor and evaluate success. The 3 to 5 year work plan, again, as I mentioned, is a subset of the 10-year, but it's going to be looking specifically at greenhouse gas emission inventory and forecasting, setting reduction targets for those greenhouse gas emissions, looking at monitoring and reporting as well. And so really no action needed here tonight, but just wanted to let you know that this has moved forward enough to where we now have that consultant in place, we have funding in place, and come by the end of this year, we'll have a firm grip from the council on who they want to be part of that climate advisory team. So I know Commissioner Wallace has expressed interest herself, and also others that she knows, on being a liaison or being part of that climate advisory team. But if there's action maybe on the 15th of October where all of you would talk about kind of a formal liaison from the Planning Commission to be on the group, that would be great as well. Otherwise, happy to answer any questions.
You said October 15th. I thought this was December 15th that you're.
No, I'm sorry. October 15th for you to let me know if there's a liaison that would want to be part of it. December 15th is when the city council is going to talk about the recommended list of individuals or organizations that staff provides them.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Mr. Larson has a question.
Perfect time for this question. And I just wonder whether, given all of the different departments that are and entities that are going to be involved here, whether maybe we should have two people from the Planning Commission alternating and integrating with different meetings and collaborating together to report to the whole commission, because that's a big job for one person to try to be involved in addition to the other work that we do. And we maybe should think about splitting it up.
It's a good idea. Are you volunteering?
Yes.
I like it. And I think you both would do a great job. Do you have any other interest? I know everyone's got full plates, but if you are interested, flag me after or reach out to Miss Spear.
Yeah.
But I think we'll revisit this next week, but those two would have my vote.
Okay. And just to be clear, it's not asking the Planning Commission members to attend all of those other boards and commissions. It's attending the single meeting, which at this point we think is going to be maybe once every couple of months, of the climate advisory team. And then the representatives would go back to their respective groups and just keep them all up to speed. So I think it's great to have two representatives, whether you're both attending or it's alternating, whatever. But just to be clear, it's not asking you to suddenly start attending the Parks Board and the Arts Board and all the other things as well.
No, my thought was just that to knowing the background thought behind the ideas on an infrequent
Yeah.
basis, this would be appropriate.
Yeah.
Yep. Thank you.
Really appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And that's it from me. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, go ahead.
I just look forward to hearing about the possibilities of this plan, where we would put the trees and how they would fit to get to this goal.
Yep.
I know that's something we weren't able to figure out before, so hopefully there is a path to this goal.
Yes, it will take a lot of creativity, but we'll get there.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. How about next steps?
Next steps would be there is no report from Councilmember Boki tonight. And then our next meeting will be on the 15th. So there will actually be the continued public hearing on the childcare locations. And the 15th is also the night where you're going to be jumping back into the whole discussion about alcohol location and sales and production. So that will be something that I know you've asked Mr. Charis to get the information to you early, and we will be doing that. So hopefully by early next week, you're going to have some information, and then the 15th, you'll talk about it. And then I think we'll be into November. We will be for the next meeting after that.
Awesome. Thank you very much for your time. Any other comments, questions? All right, let's go ahead and adjourn this meeting. Have a good night, everyone.